Okay, before I get started on this video, I want to mention that the things I'm going to say about men also apply to many women. The things that I say about women also apply to very many men. None of the things that I'm talking about are specific to one gender or another. When I focus on one specific gender or another, well, it's because of bias. It's to show that the rules are different depending on who you are. I've been looking at some of these. Well, this one here, for example. Let me grab this one up. It's called "What Do Women Bring to the Table?" And it's from a thing called Tribe of Men. Now, a lot of the things that these people say is absolutely true, but there's also a lot of very sexist opinions that I do not agree with. There's also a lot of things that this guy says about men that are not true about all men, obviously. Just like many of the things being said about women are not true about all women. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I talk about when it comes to women, I'm very specific. I don't have a lot of experience with a lot of women. My experience as far as socialization is primarily American women. I know a few foreign women, and they do seem to be a bit different culturally. Why wouldn't they be? It's the way they were raised. They were raised differently than American women. Now, we've got this toxic femininity thing going on. It's horrible, where all men are bad guys no matter what, and no woman could ever do anything wrong no matter what. And this is what we keep getting shoved down our throats. And many, many women prey on that. They prey on your bias, same as the police do. Police know who they're likely to get away with victimizing and who they probably won't get away with victimizing. Cops know that if they did to Donald Trump what they did to me, they'd be in a fucking shit ton of trouble. But they didn't do it to Donald Trump, did he? He could squash him with his wallet. Now, a lot of the stuff that men are going through, you don't want to hear it because, well, they're men. With missing and murdered Indigenous women, the reason that they had to change it from MMIP to MMIW is because missing and murdered Indigenous people, well, folks didn't really care. But if you focus primarily on the women, people start to care a little bit more. Oh, it's happening to women? All right. I might do something. I might make a Facebook post every 6 months or so. And that's about the full extent of it. It doesn't help any of us. Neither does this toxic femininity. Or the idea that anything that any man says is toxic masculinity. A man is not allowed to have an opinion, he's not allowed to have emotions. We say, oh, well, we need to allow men to have emotions so they'll stop killing themselves at 5 times the rate of women. But then we've got a lot of man haters out there who are too busy making our lives hell. What are you doing about those women? See, that's one thing about protocol. The police's protocol when you try to turn in a predator by yourself is to victimize you. It's horrible. If you're a pretty white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes, it's different, but I'm not a pretty blonde haired, blue eyed white girl. Now, yesterday I was trying to touch on the whole dating thing and on How these toxic feminists will literally twist your words into something that you didn't even say to pretend like they're victims, much like the black kids that I grew up with. A lot of the black kids that I grew up with in the system, and the system itself is inherently racist. Okay, that's just how it is. Out here, you don't have to be a racist, but in there, that is how life is. If you're the white kid, you might get beaten up for being the white kid. And a lot of the kids that I ended up having issues with in the system were black kids that would say, "Call me the N word, call me the N word, I dare you, call me the N word. I know you want to, call me the N word." They wanted to get into a fight. If you call them the N word, then magically it's okay for them to beat you up. So you don't say the N word. Well, they still want to beat you up. Fuck it. They'll beat you up anyway and just claim that you called them the N word because then magically it's justified. Magically it's okay. A lot of women are the same way. They've been taught that they can antagonize and antagonize and antagonize, and it's okay. A young woman that I know named Haley Smith antagonized the situation until 3 people were dead. I knew the people who were killed, and I also knew the man that killed them. All because Haley Smith wanted to create a bunch of drama that didn't need to be there. When it comes to dating, we get to hear a lot of women about how they can't find a good man. No, you done put him in the simp pile. Good men are for shitting on. Good men are for, well, doing all the things that your boyfriend won't do. You want to date an asshole. You're attracted to bad boys. That's not our fault. That's not our choice. You say one thing and do another. You tell us that you want a man who will treat you decent, and then you go after men who do not treat you decent. Men are not the only ones who get horny. Women get horny too. Most of the women I know, they ended up with assholes because, well, they were horny. The guy who was trying to have sex with her is the one that she left with because she wanted to get laid. Now, this channel here, Tribe of Men or whatever it's called, yeah, Tribe of Men, there's a woman who's the co host. And she's talking about how there's all these risks for women, how for a woman it's difficult to give up that part of herself. No, it's not. No, it is truly not. If he's good looking enough, in many cases, yeah, it'd turn into a one night stand like that. A lot of times by his choice. And then she keeps on calling him over and over and over again. It's fucking crazy. Human nature is human nature. When it comes to selecting somebody to be a father, that's a different scenario. But most of these women aren't out there searching for a good father. They're out there, they want to have fun. That good looking guy is out there because he wants to have fun. For them, it's adult fun, which means sex. Now, when a woman goes out, dresses up nice, and goes out in public, she's not doing that for her. I mean, yes, literally, she is doing it for her. She has an intention. She has something that she wants. There's something that she is going out for. Now, here's where the toxic femininity comes in. If a woman gets all painted up, gets her face all done up, puts on her makeup, puts on that short pleated skirt and tries to show off her legs and has that push up bra and that low cut v neck shirt, yeah, she's definitely dressing to get looked at. Now, toxic feminism, this is the idea that if somebody observes that, which is the truth, men do the same thing, all right? It's not like I'm saying that women are doing something that men don't do. Men dress up and try to attract a woman in the same way, using clothing, sometimes by showing skin. If a guy is stacked, ripped, whatever you want to call it, he's got a good solid six pack and he's got rippling muscles. Yeah. A lot of guys will go out there with a tight fitting shirt trying to show off their form as well. But also, how do you treat the different people that look at you? If it's the good looking guy that looks at you, sure, you'll smile at him and you'll flirt with him. But what if it's an unattractive guy who tells you look pretty today and you go off on him? Like all he's trying to do is have sex with you. No, he's telling you look good. A lot of women I know complain that their man doesn't tell them that they look good enough. I wish my husband would tell me I'm pretty. But if an unattractive man says it, that's not okay. That must mean that he's after sex. Meanwhile, you're out there for sex too. You're not getting dressed like that because you want to get raped. And any of those feminists who hear you say, yes, you did dress up to go out and get attention. You did dress up to get looked at, just like that guy got dressed up to get looked at. He wants to look good. He wants to look better than everyone else. It is a competition. And women are just as competitive, if not more so, than men. Most of the women that I know, the most horrible stuff that I've ever heard about women came from other women. And most of the women I know believe that women are more competitive than men. And, that might be true. It might not be. That's a matter of opinion. But we get to hear about how men have all the power in dating. No, we have the power to ask, and women have the power to shoot us down. When you've got 30 ships, you're trying to get from Seattle, Washington to Vancouver Island, and you've got 30 ships that offer you a ride. You've had 30 ships that offered you a ride. Now, if you got to get there by dark, you better pick one of those ships to hop on. And I don't mean that sexually, obviously. The fact is, if you want a relationship, you can have one. You put all the decent dudes into the simp pile, and you only go for what you call an alpha male. You can't be an alpha male because it's toxic. You can't be a beta male because it's toxic. And meanwhile, there's no such thing as either one. You're a jerk or you're not. When it comes down to it, a woman is going to end up with the man she says yes to in most cases. Our society says that men are supposed to ask the women out, not the other way around. And then we've got the whole body shaming thing. Most of the women I know say they won't date a man who's shorter than them. But we're told about how superficial men are. And then, of course, you want to have a good looking body so you can attract a superficial man. If I have a booty like J-Lo, how about personality? If you're trying to attract someone who is only into your looks, only into your body, and that's what you're focused on, you're trying to attract someone who is superficial. And you are in turn likely being superficial yourself. Now, there's the whole if you pressure somebody because you pressured them, well, then it's sexual assault. A lot of women are saying that now. I was pressured into having sex with this guy. He just wouldn't let up, and eventually I gave in. Well, you got to understand the advice that us nerds or dorks are given by women, but not just women, men and women. Hey, you know what? If first you don't succeed, try and try again. I'm not really the try and try again type. I asked Jessica Martindale out only once. When she said no, that was good enough. By that time, I was already used to rejection. So I guess I'm lucky. I got treated throughout all of this like I was trying to have sex with Natalie. And she had told me no about having sex. And that's what all this is about. No, 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 no. It had nothing to do with sex. I mean, sure, she had expectations. She thought she was in love with me. It just a fucked up situation. It didn't need to be the way that it was. But then, like for her or for many other women, it's okay for them to have sex, not only to want sex or to crave sex, but to actually have sex. And they don't think of themselves as horrible for having sex, but they don't mind destroying your life by pretending that whatever fucked up bullshit that they pulled was all because you wanted to have sex with them and they told you no. That is not okay. That makes it horrible for all of the actual victims, people who are actually going through it. Now, there's this things not to say to a survivor. Now, all of my supposed friends, all of them have told me this shit. From Chelsea Aiken to Todd Ryan Case, Brandon Jepson, all these people, they want to tell me just to let it go. Now, I'm going to read this to you because I do feel it's important. Obviously, it's the very front of this video, so I mean, it's not like you won't be able to read it at all. But I do want to make sure that I do read it through this video because it is pretty important. You guys have to fill space with pretty fucking words of uselessness. Or words that are dismissive of what we're going through. We didn't come to you for pretty words. We came to you because we're being abused and we need help stopping it. Are you my friend or not? Do you care about me or not? So let's read it. It says, oh, this thing is so slow. Things not to say to a survivor. Just get over it. The past is the past. You just need to move on. You need to forgive and forget about it. What happened to you was not that bad. It could be worse. You need to let it go. You're strong. You'll be fine. Life goes on. These are all dismissive. They are all entirely dismissive. Just get over it. When you're still enduring it, you got PTSD from this shit. You don't just get over it. You have nightmares about this shit. It says the past is the past. You just need to move on. You know what? Most of the time, you don't get to move on. Whether it's the past or not, it does affect your present and it does affect your future. You guys don't want to pay any attention to how I was separated from all of my loved ones, how I was separated from my money, from my disability money, separated from housing, separated from medical help because Natalie Bollinger was killed. And guess what? It wasn't me that killed her. I don't get to move on. I'm in a constant state of panic moving from one place to another. Just waiting on my predators to catch up with me. Nobody's going to care. It says you need to forgive and forget. No, I don't need to forgive. I may choose to forgive, but I don't need to forgive anyone, especially if they're not changing their behaviors, especially if they show no remorse for what they have done, especially if they continue to do those things to others. No, I do not need to forgive. And I sure as hell don't need to forget. Those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. I will not forget. I will not forget the Holocaust. I will not forget rapists and child molesters. I will not. What happened to you was not that bad. See, that's another one right there. It is that bad. You know, saying that it could be worse elsewhere is the worst excuse for doing nothing about it. Like, you got the person who had somebody slap him on the ass and he didn't like it. And people say, "Oh, well, girls get raped all the time." But then the girl that got raped, you tell her, "Oh, well, if you were in Africa, they might have chopped you up and put you in some tires and lit the tires on fire while you're still alive. So, you really don't have it that bad. It could always be worse." What do you tell the girl who survived that tire fire? You tell her, "It could be worse. Just 2 villages over there, they did that to another girl and she died. It could be worse. You could be dead in that situation." I wouldn't want to survive that. You need to let it go. When your predators are still free and they have access to you and they can do whatever they want to you and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it, you don't need to let it go. You need to speak out. There are a lot of us going through this. Letting something go when it's destroyed your entire life and they won't let it go. That's something that's important to note. Will they let it go? All of these cops who broke the law to try to hide the fact that their fellow officers broke the law. Did they let it go? No, they still dangle that shit over my head. In Colorado and Nebraska, likely Washington State, for surely Wyoming. I need to let it go. Did my predators let it go? Says you're strong, you'll be fine. Fuck that. We all need someone in our corner, no matter who we are, to make sure that our rights are observed. But there are people like me who are homeless and disabled, and that makes us even higher risk. There's also the fact that I grew up in the system. That puts me at an even higher risk for victimization because it puts me at a higher risk for poverty. You're strong, you'll be fine. No, this is not fine. And the last one on here, it says life goes on. Is this really a life? I don't live in your pretty white girl world. I don't live in the world of blonde haired, blue eyed white girl. I don't. I live in the real world where people have real problems. There's evidence all over my Facebook and all over my YouTube of the abuse that I've endured. And there's a lot more that I can't put on YouTube or Facebook because it'll get me kicked off of Facebook or YouTube. Yes, that's how bad it is. And yes, I know from experience. The government doesn't care about the laws. Everybody knows that if you can get a couple of pretty blonde haired, blue eyed white girls on the stand, a jury will eat it up. The jury will absolutely love it. Now, all these people who claim that they love me and claim that they were going to help me did jack shit. My predators did work together. They were actively pursuing, whereas my so called friends just made every excuse they could to look the other way, to do absolutely nothing. People who were already involved telling me ignorant shit like, I don't want to get involved. It's too late. It is too late. There's a lot of people that are mad at me for telling the truth. Well, they can go ahead and stay mad. People's lives are at stake. I hope. Ah, shit. I don't think it recorded.